with Brunch and News, and welcome to our Beach Brunch.
Okay.
So did you guys enjoy the service?
We did, and we
Good.
appreciate you for inviting us.
Oh,
It's been a
absolutely.
long
I
time
appreciate
since
that.
I've raised the threshold of.
I know.
I
Well,
usually do it like virtually.
I love
You do?
the word today.
You old
and-
bedside Baptist.
Yes.
That's what you call it.
But did you enjoy the word? Well,
Why didn't you?
I'm
enjoy
not
it about it?
churchy
no.
What does that mean? You're not churchy?
because I'm more spiritual than I am religious, and so
Is
when
this
I
a new religion?
And that's
Like,
and so that's what
everybody's like, I'm
that's what the pastor was pretty
spiritual
much talking about
Yeah.
today is spirituality the new religion?
Yeah.
and I'm gonna
Are
have
we
to say
replacing
no
it?
because of the fact that for
Why
me,
no?
Why not?
Religion is not faith,
I'm
is
gonna
that what
say
you're
the
saying?
reason why for no for me is that I went to the same church for 15 years, and I was there and I wasn't, and we were.
I mean, you
it
wasn't getting the feeling
I wasn't.
of
Not
church
only that,
anymore,
I didn't
of it
feel like I was
anymore.
being of purpose. It was a bunch of cliques and a bunch of
I didn't hear that
nonsense,
about churches.
and we
When
was
I used to
building.
when I was
We was building all these different. We had
building
3
funds
parking
of this
lots
and that
and
and-
building extensions and all of that. But then I didn't feel like I was on purpose. And so for me, I became more spiritual and got more connected with God. And then I got out into the streets. That's when I'm doing food drives. That's when I'm doing coat drives. That's when I'm giving people socks. That's when I'm giving people clothes.
So that's
Because of the
that's
simple
what-
fact
yeah.
that I was
think
more,
that's
I'm more
what-
actionary in my
what did you
spirituality.
have to
So it is
For
more
me.
spirituality.
For me, I'm more
How do we
actionary in my
define it?
Yeah, so
spirituality.
define it.
Yeah.
I can't listen to
Define it.
all this
Define it.
religion and everybody jumping up and down and singing
got this
and
part. We got it.
praising and worship. I don't have time for all
We
that.
got
that, but
Now,
I ain't for that.
tell us
I'm
what
more
you know about
spiritual.
spirituality. What do
Yeah.
you do for your own spirituality?
For my own spirituality, I feel that for me to be able to sow back into myself, I make sure I'm more peaceful. I make sure I'm more mindful. I make sure I'm more understanding.
Just a little bit more
I give more
grounded.
grace versus before I used to be hot like a firecracker. If you, whatever it is,
even
bam,
when you was in church,
I was reactionary.
You didn't feel like
I
they
didn't-
weren't teaching
no,
you that.
No, because you're too busy trying to get tithes and offering, and you're not trying to give people
what they need to be fed.
actually need.
Yeah.
And I also don't like the fact that you can sit up in because we had over 1,000 members, and nobody even asked you if you okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
is a
That's-
deterrent for people with church.
Yeah.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah.
You spiritual? What would you define yourself as?
Well, I mean, I do a little bit of both, right? I like the fact that yes, we went through this pandemic, and we all had to go home, and so that kind of changed the dynamic of how you go to church.
Right.
So I liked being able to have church where I feel
On
comfortable.
your own time.
Exactly.
My own time. At home, I can go work out, on a Sunday and do it there.
Right.
But I'm also now, as I'm getting a little older, I'm also now incorporating energy into my spirituality.
And how are you defining
Defining
energy?
energy,
Because
yeah.
that's a key word when we're talking about spiritual. How do you define it?
So, like on Sundays, making sure that I'm centered, like
Okay.
making sure that while
Like
I'm
the
watching my
space
church,
you operate
right.
in.
Right.
So making sure that I'm centered when I'm watching my church service, that I'm truly just focused on that and nothing else around me.
Right.
Do you think it could be a meeting of the minds of both for people?
I think it can.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I think we're so used to religion and spirituality being defined by the church.
Right.
Or what we know it to be.
Especially
like
in our
grandparents
culture.
and in the black
Right.
culture.
Exactly.
Versus I can still be blessed and still have a connection with God, and I don't
Yeah.
necessarily
Go to
have to
church
do
to do
Be
it.
in a church to do
be in a
it.
church to do it, right?
Right.
I also think that, sometimes some people define their spirituality as, that this whole like movement with like the rocks.
The crystals and all that other
Crystals
stuff.
and
the
that's
spirits
getting
and all of
connected to
that.
the
Yeah.
earthy part
Right.
of it.
Yeah. I believe in
And
that.
that's
It's a
getting
whole-
into the energy piece.
Yeah,
of
and
it.
that's
Yeah.
the energy side.
But I
right?
also
Yeah.
kind of feel that people are disconnecting from the religion portion
I do
because
too.
of
Yeah.
the fact that these pastors, we're in the internet era. So
It's
it used to
monetized.
be, not only that, we were in the internet era. Before, they could be whatever they wanted to be. They could have your pastor could have
Now
a wife
people
and a
are holding them
husband.
accountable
Your
now to
your
religion
pastor could
and
have
church.
but for real, your pastor could have a wife and a boyfriend, or a wife and a girlfriend,
been known.
and wouldn't nobody know it because
Yeah.
it wasn't the
Yeah.
internet.
Churches
Or they
in
could
Atlanta
be
that's been
they could
known.
have a date they could be dating people in the church, or they could be doing scandalous things. But we have the internet is exposing the true the truth about who these pastors are.
Yeah. And who the attendees are.
Exactly.
That's what we fail to realize sometimes. Like the people that are leading churches or that are part of churches, they're still human.
But I think we put so much on the back of these pastors, though, that now people begin to lose religion because you expect them to be perfect.
We do expect
and I think that's a little hypocrisy for you to put that. Because if you're going to believe in religion, if you're going to be a Christian, then you have to believe in the principles of the Bible. You have to know that this is God's word and the teachings of God. And so the man is just the person that's bringing the message.
There are some things that pastors just shouldn't do.
They shouldn't do. Right, because,
I think we all fall short, but I think that when you take a vow to uphold a certain law
and you're leading people,
that you have to be more consciously aware of what you're doing,
and you should be held accountable. Like
and that's why people are turning to spirituality.
Exactly, because like the Cunnilingus pastor, you can't be up on the camera being the Cunnilingus pastor.
The Cunnilingus pastor.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord.
She always take it to a whole other level.
Another level.
Who is that? Is this somebody for real?
Yes, for real.
Oh, okay.
He had a video out where he performed cunnilingus on a young lady in the congregation, and it got out.
What is cunnilingus? What is that? Define that.
Oral sex on a woman.
Oral sex.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't
be. Something new today.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you know,
I put that in. He put
that
But this is the thing is that it's difficult to respect somebody who is out here. Nobody thinks they pastor for the streets.
Right.
For sure.
However, I always tell people this. Don't nobody want a pastor that ain't never been through nothing.
Yes, that's true. Everybody wants someone they can relate to.
That they can relate to.
I get that.
He's out there in the streets, but I'm just saying.
But this is the thing, though. But if your wife, Miss Pearly Mae, over there, and you out here with Keisha, you wrong.
Well, I don't think we have any problem with that. Yeah. But what is it? Because let's bring it back to so much of why are people now getting more centered, whether it's crystals, whether it's
because they can't trust the religious portion.
Well, I also think it's because maybe a lot of us are exposed to now law of attraction.
That's true.
And back
and The Secret,
and
all these other books that come out, they give you something else to think about other than the Bible.
Because it was like just pray, just ask God, just talk to God. But now it's like no, if words have power. So if you say something, you have to be careful what you say and put it in the universe because it is picking it up and bringing it back to you.
It is, but we're saying a little bit of the same thing.
Because
I don't want to discredit the Bible and for people that are out there that really truly are centered in religion.
We're totally not saying that.
Because
we're not saying that.
I know we're not. I know we're not. I'm just saying to look at both sides of it. I grew up in a church, and so I knew what it meant to be Southern Baptist, to go to church, to be on the choir board, to be on the usher board, and all that other stuff and participate. And then to see exactly what you said, I want to move away from it because I'm not getting that certain feeling and emotion.
I didn't feel that I was getting the spiritual feeding that you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
And also too, I just didn't feel that the church is in alignment with purpose because I just cannot support somebody asking you for 10% of your income when it's people sitting right in front of your face in need and you don't care.
Well, I don't think they don't care. I don't think they don't care.
You didn't ask.
Of those resources.
You didn't ask. But not only that too, you didn't ask.
I think it's a difference when you have somebody that is flying on private jets, that is driving.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. Because there are people in the community actually doing what needs to be done. Let's not just discredit them with the big mega churches that we see. Because not everybody on a private jet. A lot of people are in communities. And for people that still need that guidance, I think church still has a place until you find your own purposeful centering.
Absolutely.
Because church ain't just going to bring you that purpose.
Right.
That's
but not only
you
that,
got to work on
and I think also too that I have a problem with is that church used to actually be about community. Church used to, but when you start getting, but the thing is that it's so much you can do as a church because you're a government profit. You're a 503c, so you are now a government entity.
Right.
So it's so much you can't do with certain social issues because your hands are tied.
Right. Because it's nonprofit.
Because it's a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
And so that's where I see where the church is failing and people are pushing away from that and they're going to spirituality.
Yeah.
Is church becoming
and it's
so
the judgmental mindset sometimes.
Yeah,
that
that's
goes
true.
into
We
it.
always say that.
And to your point, Tim, I too come from a church family,
background.
And we also, it was very much frowned upon for even women to wear pants in church.
Yes, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit
I remember that.
Yeah, it's a very old school tradition. However, it shaped and molded me into the woman that I am today, with the morals and the respect that I have for myself.
Right.
So I think there's a place for church for everyone, but I also think that you can have the spirituality too, because a lot of times you can probably get more centered and more purpose and more guidance just by talking to God or Buddha, whoever
exactly.
Church is just a geography.
Yes.
When you think about religion, because we at church right now, when we get together and come and do a meeting of the minds, we at church right now.
That's true.
So I don't want to say anything bad about the organization of church because we needed something in the community to bring people together. That's how it started. Way back in, during the slavery period of time, there needed to be something to be centered on. Religion is something different to me.
But it was actually a gathering for them to talk about the things that were happening and how to make change.
Right.
That was the purpose of the church during slavery for black people.
And I think it still is.
And then they threw in a little piece of Jesus in it. But but like I said, it was some on purpose.
Yeah.
There was purpose and point. It's not just sitting around.
And that's a great point, because to do something for a purpose with a purpose is different, where you're trying to now bring about something that says this is why we exist as an organization.
Exactly.
And church is not just
and it's actionary, and nobody was left out back then. But because you're trying to get so big, you want 1,000 seats because you really trying to do numbers.
But here's what you guys.
It's a financial institution. You think it's financial?
You all talked about like the purpose of it, and then like the judgment of it. I'll tell you, a lot of people from my community are not necessarily comfortable with going to church because of the judgment.
Because of the judgment.
Right. And I guarantee you, a lot of people in my community, especially the black community, right? They grew up in the church.
And it's spiritual bullying in your community.
But what I'm trying to say is they have a connection to their higher power.
Right.
And so they know what that looks like, but they won't go to a church because there's judgment there, because they can't be themselves, because they can't get married.
How can you bridge the gap? Yes, are we still not getting married in churches?
No, it's a lot of churches that still won't. It's a lot of spiritual bullying.
That's in the Bible.
It is. It's spiritual bullying. That's all it is. It's for you. It's religious bullying. You cannot. But you can't say God loves everybody except for y'all, because that's your mouth says God loves everybody, but your action says not really. The hypocrisy is just
awful. Because a lot of y'all will be down there before I get there.
Well, that's true.
But anyway,
how can you bridge the gap though? What's the change?
I don't know.
I can't even tell you that. The one thing I do like about my church is the one thing they talk about is we accept everybody.
Yeah. Right. And
no matter your background, what you wear, look like, how you dress,
economic
we accept everyone. And so when I go there, when I look on, when I'm like physically looking at it online, you see in the background there's so many different walks of life.
Right.
Everyone has a seat at the table,
which is
great. It creates this comfortability that every single person, no matter what their skin color is, their background, their experience, whatever level they are in their own spirituality, they accept it.
And I think it starts with the pastor, because when we talk about the doors of the church is open, are we really saying the doors of the church is open?
But that's just like in business. When we say management sets the tone, it's the same concept with the pastor.
Absolutely.
If your pastor is a heathen, you cannot expect your congregation to be holy.
We agree. We definitely agree.
I think it's just with anything, it's always just a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
I think from a spiritual standpoint, spirituality to me now is more about how you internalize your relationship with a higher power.
Yeah. I also think spirituality is more common.
You call it Buddha. We all know there is a connection, period, with everything.
Yeah.
And so it's now, how am I seeking the knowledge of my own personal connection. Where in the religion, sometimes they're expecting us just to believe what we're told, and it doesn't always resonate with our own spiritual
But it also
space.
don't always make sense.
I mean, and that's the facts. If you go back through history, that's a whole different conversation. I think religion is a means to control.
Yeah. It is.
I think it was put in place.
But it has been weaponized for centuries.
Yeah. For sure. Because we got humans telling people where they gonna go.
Yes.
Close their eyes.
Right. And the fact that you think that the mitigated gall and the audacity of it all.
How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
Right.
Who has came back and said, you know
exactly.
what?
You feel like you're so
heaven
is
is
nice.
Nice.
To tell me that.
Right. And then now I got a slick mouth when you say we going to hell, and I'm like, well, I think we've been pretty much here with this.
Yes. Hell on earth.
We all operate in that space already.
Right. Exactly.
I love it because I think more and more we're opening up, but at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinion about how they want to live their lives
and how they want to serve and how they want to spiritually connect. So I think that it's in the best effort of people to, I would say, for me personally, a good mix would be good.
And just accept people for who they are.
Well, that's true.
Just accept people for who they are.
That's true.
I mean, love conversation. Thank you, because I'm going to go back to the church again. I did have a feeling when I'm there. It's undeniable.
Absolutely.
You know, at the end of the day, it's motivational. It's just that communion. So, and I love for y'all to come back to me. Take this conversation back to your peach brunch. And we hope you have a chance to congregate together the way we did today. Thank you.
Bye.